welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's March 28th, 2019, and this is episode 16. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the Crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get started. New in theaters this week, we've got three films. First up is a subversive comedy called The Beach Bum. It's from Neon Pictures. It's written and directed by Harmony Korine. And The Beach Bum follows the outrageous misadventures of Moondog, who's a character played by Matthew McConaughey, who's back in one of his stoner-type roles, who's a rebellious burnout who only knows how to live life by his own rules. The film has a all-star cast, quote unquote, starring Snoop Dogg, Zac Efron, Jimmy Buffett, Martin Lawrence, and Isla Fisher. It really looks like it's just a vehicle for Matthew McConaughey, and based on its rating, it's probably not my thing. It's rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America for pervasive drug and alcohol use, language throughout, nudity, and some strong sexual content. So that's The Beach Bum. All right, next up is Hotel Mumbai, which is a terrorist drama from Bleecker Street Pictures. It stars Dev Patel and Armie Hammer, and this is a reenactment of that horrible siege that happened in 2008 of Mumbai's Taj Hotel. When terrorists took over that hotel. From what I've read, and also just have seen the trailers, it looks like it's a pretty true to life recreation of it, and I don't know if these characters in here that played by Dev Patel and Armie Hammer and others are based on real people, but it looks like it's a pretty gritty recreation of that sad event. So Hotel Mumbai is rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America for disturbing violence throughout, bloody images, and language. And again, it's probably a pass for me too. All right, and then finally opening this week is the family film Dumbo from Walt Disney Studios. This is a remake of the 1941 animated film. It's directed by Tim Burton. And, Tim Burton has quite an interesting history with the Disney Studios. He grew up in Burbank, California, just in the shadow of the Disney Studio lot. And he was an animator early on in his career, and he worked for Disney. And he worked on some films in the 80s, including The Black Cauldron. And he also, while he was there, did a hand-drawn animated short called Frankenweenie. And that, kind of planted the seed and led to another project he did for Disney later on, which was a stop-motion animation version, an expanded version of the story of Frankenweenie, if you've ever seen that one. One of my favorite films that Burton had directed for Disney was for Disney's Touchstone Pictures. So for their, that more adult label that they used to have. They still might have it, but I don't know when the last time I've seen a Touchstone release. But it was called Ed Wood, based on the life of the kind of horrible movie director Ed Wood. Ed Wood is the guy responsible for bringing the world Plan 9 from Outer Space, Glen or Glenda. He's from the 1950s, and he was quite a character, and was surrounded by quite a bunch of characters too. But so it was really a perfect movie for Tim Burton. It starred Johnny Depp back when, Johnny Depp wasn't so controversial, I guess. And wow, I love Ed Wood. Such a great movie. Burton also is responsible for one of these first live-action remakes that Disney's been doing of their animated catalog. He directed Alice in Wonderland back in 2010. If you remember seeing that also starred Johnny Depp, and and others, and was a combination of a live action and a computer generated combo. It also had a sequel, which I believe Burton called Alice Through the Looking Glass, which Burton produced. He didn't direct. But anyway, Tim's done a lot of interesting stuff for Disney. So that he's doing this Dumbo movie, excuse me, is kind of a trip. The trailers will look good for Dumbo. Don't get me wrong. You know how I feel about these live action remakes. There's so much creativity and tremendous resources at Disney. I think it's a shame that they're not doing some other things other than just remaking all their animated movies. But that being said, I'll read you some of these press materials. Dumbo expands on the beloved classic story where differences are celebrated, family is cherished, and dreams take flight. The story is focused on circus owner Max Medici, who's played by Danny DeVito, and he enlists former circus star Holt Ferrier, who's played by Colin Farrell. Holt has 2 children, Millie and Joe, which are played by Nico Parker and Finley Hobbins. He enlists them to care for a newborn elephant whose oversized ears make him a laughingstock in an already struggling circus. But when they discover that Dumbo can actually fly, the circus makes an incredible comeback, attracting persuasive entrepreneur V.A. Vanderveer, who's played by Michael Keaton, who recruits the peculiar pachyderm for his newest, larger-than-life entertainment venue, Dreamland. Dumbo soars to new heights alongside a charming and spectacular aerial artist, Colette, played by Eva Green, until Holt, again that's the Colin Farrell character, learns that beneath its shiny veneer, Dreamland is full of dark secrets. So that's where, the movie goes Tim Burton. And not the sweet animated film from 1941 that I adore. Anyway, I'm seeing Dumbo this weekend. Let's hope it's decent. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, where I'll probably post a short review, and then chances are excellent I'll be talking about it in next week's podcast, or I might even put a blog entry up. We'll see. So Dumbo, this Dumbo remake, is rated PG by the Motion Picture Association of America for peril/action, some thematic elements, and brief, mild language. All right, so the 3 big new releases this week: The Beach Bum, Hotel Mumbai, and Dumbo. Right, for reviews in Classic Cinema Corner, I want to talk about, first off, the latest in my TCM Essentials viewing project. As you know, I'm watching 52 must-see movies that are listed in a book called TCM The Essentials. And this week's film also happened to be the film that was shown on the Turner Classic Movies Big Screen Classic Series. TCM puts one movie a month on the big screen, and they do that in association with Fathom events, and so that's really great to be able to see these classic movies on the big screen. So it was this month's movie, this one's big screen classic movie, as well as my own movie for my TCM Essentials viewing project, was the great drama To Kill a Mockingbird. This film was from 1962, stars Gregory Peck, and this film is, Ben Mankiewicz was mentioning this in his intro that he gave to the film, that it's a rarity in that it's a film adaptation that's as cherished as the novel is, and that, as we know, that doesn't always happen. The movie is so good, directed by Robert Mulligan. Writer Horton Foote adapted the screenplay from Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, and everything's perfect about it. The cast, the cast is so good. Gregory Peck earned an Academy Award for his performance, and it's so well deserved. I think his portrayal of Atticus Finch is so remarkable in its simplicity and its quietness, yet it's just absolute depth. You know, it just brought a tear to my eye and it always does, because I love this movie. When Atticus is giving his final, presenting his final words to the jury, and he's talking about racial bigotry and all these other things that are affecting this decision. It's just marvelous, and just the concept that all men are created equal, and that's a true principle. And anyway, it speaks so much truth, and it's again, Gregory Peck's performance is so perfect. So I hope you'll take the time to revisit to Kill a Mockingbird. Again, sorry if you didn't get to see it on the big screen, but it's widely available. There's a Blu-ray version of it, and you can rent it on multiple digital platforms too, as well as purchase it as well. So what a masterwork of a film. All right, I've also been having some fun with getting ready for the Criterion Channel. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but the Criterion Channel is going to be an online streaming service, similar in concept to Netflix, and it's basically coming back. It was part of a streaming service called Filmstruck, which was in conjunction with Turner Classic Movies, and that got shut down by their new corporate overlords. So they're now coming back on their own, and it launches on April 8th. But what they've been doing is, if you sign up now, and it's at CriterionChannel.com, and I'll have links to this in the podcast notes on the blog. But if you sign up now, it makes you eligible to watch what they've been calling the movie of the week. And they've just been putting this on their website. You have to log in, once you've signed up. But you can watch this on a browser, either on your computer or on your mobile device. But they're not supporting, any apps, and they're not supporting Chromecast and Roku and all this other stuff, which they will be supporting once the service launches on April 8th. So basically, this movie of the week is just a special treat exclusively for their charter subscribers. And it's just been these movies. They just have had one movie. It's been available from Wednesday to Wednesday, and just so for 1 week only. And then on April 8th, the full service will become available on apps for Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, iOS, and Android phones and tablets, in addition to desktop and mobile web browsers. So pretty much everywhere you're gonna want this. But these movies of the week have been really eclectic. So last week's movie of the week was a film noir called Detour, and the Criterion Channel the Criterion Collection just put out a Blu-ray of this film too, which is available to purchase on their website. But Detour is a film noir from 1945, directed by Edgar G. Ulmer, and it's a film that I think when in some ways was like a holy grail for some, because it had either been missing, or there were parts missing, and or just really low quality. But through a combination of the museum, if I'm not mistaken, for the way when I was watching some of these little documentaries after the film, from the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and then through like a film museum or something in Belgium, they had a couple of prints that they were able to use to put together this really nice restoration, which again is currently available as part of the Criterion collection. But the film is classic film noir, but almost like, I mean, and what Criterion is saying is that it epitomizes the dark fatalism that's at the heart of film noir. It's about this guy who's hitchhiking his way from New York to Los Angeles, and he's a down on his luck pianist, and he's getting a ride from this one guy who's got a lot of money, and it's a pure accident, but the guy dies, and so he assumes his persona to at least have some money, and then just kind of figure out what he wants to do because he's in a bit of a panic about it. Things go from bad to worse when he picks up this woman named Vera, who is really just a vicious, horrible woman. The Criterion Channel says that that Vera is probably the most vicious femme fatale in cinema history. She's played by an actress named Anne Savage, and her, they're saying her snarling, monstrously conniving ways, again, really turn this movie. She really is. She's awful, but so good, because she's so bad. What really makes Edgar Ulmer's films interesting, I learned, was that he was working on these bargain basement budgets. He was often asked. He was a director from Europe, and came over to the United States when all the turmoil was going on, before World War II, and he got assigned to basically making B movies. So not necessarily bad movies, but lower budget films that would be part of a double feature. Like the second part of a double feature. And he was able to turn. I like what they say here in Criterion's explanation: threadbare production values and seedy lowering atmospheres into indelible pulp poetry. And it's really true. I was so amazed with the lighting and some of the camera work that was in this film, and I think that's what again makes it a bit of a hallmark. And I didn't think it was necessarily the greatest film I'd ever seen, and not necessarily even like the greatest film noir, but it really was distinctive in its style, and again pretty remarkable. I think what they were able to do with a very low budget, and they made it in like 6 days supposedly. The actors that are alive, they talked to Anne Savage, who's still alive. She claimed it was a 6-day shoot. On the production sheets that survive from it all, it said that it was a 14-day shoot, so they're not sure exactly, and since the director's long gone, they're not, who knows, but still made in a short period of time for not a lot of money, and it's really, really cool. So long unavailable in a format in which its hard-boiled beauty could be fully appreciated. Detour haunts anew in its first major restoration, and I would agree with that. Detour made its debut at the 2018 Turner Classic Film Festival in Hollywood. This restoration, made its debut, and now it's on the Criterion Collection. And if film noir is your thing and film history is your thing, it definitely could be worth checking out. Hopefully, they're going to make it part of this Criterion Channel, one of their offerings. But also, if you'd like to purchase it, it's available on the Criterion Collection website. One thing to note too is that the George Lucas Foundation was the group that ponied up the money to finalize or to finish up the restoration. So that was nice of them. So that's Detour. The current movie of the week, and so until next Wednesday, is this wacko movie called The Fabulous Baron Munchausen from 1962. It's directed by Karel Zeman, who is from the Czech Republic, or then it was Czechoslovakia. And it's this. It's really one of the most interesting visual films I've ever seen. I can't say that I just loved the film, but holy smokes, it was interesting to look at. It is. It was really like looking at a kaleidoscope in a lot of ways. In that he used these really interesting tinting techniques to change the color, and it's a fantasy. It starts on the moon of all places, and then they come to Earth, and they go to Turkey. They go inside the belly of a whale, kind of a la Pinocchio style. It's really what the Criterion Channel is calling it, a cinematic whirligig of stop motion whimsy, cutout collage, puppetry, painted backdrops, and again these antique tinting techniques. The sequences that use some animation are so reminiscent of what Terry Gilliam did with these their Monty Python little animated things that they would put in their work. In fact, a couple of times, I mean, it almost looked like you're watching a Monty Python a Monty Python piece, but it's really. The plot's pretty thin. It's just about this legendary Baron Munchausen, and his fantastical exploits just take him all over. And he's in pursuit of a woman, and then there's this man from the moon that they bring along. Criterion is saying that this work has influenced generations of animators and fantasists, including Terry Gilliam, from Monty Python. Tim Burton, speaking of Wes Anderson and others, the version that they're showing on this movie of the week is a new restoration that's never been streamed before. I couldn't find that it was available on DVD or on Blu-ray, but what it says is that Criterion has also gotten their hands on some illuminating supplemental features that give you the backstory of this beloved rarity, and I watched some of those too, and they were interesting to learn about it. Most of them were in Czech, and so with subtitles, and the film is in Czech with subtitles. So really wowed by the technical wizardry and the imagination. Again, I can't say that I just love the film, but I was really happy to learn about it and have the visual experience of watching it. Well, thanks so much for listening. Again, links and more information about all of the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. As always, I hope you enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be past or present ones. Thanks again.
Bye.